our resident transcriptionist and Cerebus superfan. You got that right. Jesse Lee Herndon said, someone should let Dave know Jackson, quote, Butch, unquote, Guice, died recently. Dave mentioned him in the past as someone he met at a convention way back in the 1980s. He was part of the notorious Gam Jam. I mean, that's not entirely enough, quote, meat, unquote, to serve Dave having a response to it. But Butch is who I think of when I think of photorealists in comics. His work on Doctor Strange in the early 90s had some fantastic photorealism. So much that his cover for issue 15, featuring a photo reference of Christian music sensation Amy Grant as a vampire, got Marvel into some legal trouble for a hot minute back then. I had forgotten about that. I had completely forgotten about the Amy Grant thing. And yes, Butch Guice was definitely in the photorealist category, and definitely one of the cutting edge guys in comics. I met him. He was in North Carolina, so I would see him at Heroes Aren't Hard to Find conventions, or the hero stores when I was down there. And the thing I always remember was that you're quite right. He became a going concern in the comic book field for high quality work. Um, Never really got to that fan favorite status. I mean, he was never in the John Byrne or Neil Adams category, but definitely well thought of, and definitely uh, his work was much admired. What was interesting to me was that when I met him, he was Butch Guice. Dave, I'd like you to meet Butch Guice. Hey, how you doing, Butch? And from then on, just that's how I thought of him. Um, and then as he started getting more work at Marvel, um, he became Jackson Guice, and I think I noticed that in the credits on something, and asked him about it uh, the next time that I saw him at a convention somewhere in the South, either in Atlanta or North Carolina, and just sort of rolled his eyes and said, "That's Marvel." They said you can't use the name Butch because that means something else in New York City. And what it meant was, a bull dyke, a masculine lesbian. And so consequently, there was no way that Marvel was going to allow somebody to call themselves Butch in the credits in their New York-based comic books. And I'm like, oh, come on. No, nobody actually thinks that way. Somebody obviously actually does think that way, and it's this. If it goes up above your editor, it goes all the way to Jim Shooter, and you can't use the name Butch because it means something else. Uh, yeah, okay, it means something else in New York City, but it means something else in North Carolina. In North Carolina, it's just Butch. Hey, Butch, how's it going? My Aunt Shirley, her nickname was Butch. And, it's not that uh, my parents and my uncle were calling her a bull dyke lesbian. Uh, this is where things started going off the rails, and they've been going off the rails ever since. If you concede on something like that and go, oh, okay, I can no longer be Butch Guice, I now have to be Jackson Guice. Well, give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and they're all nutty as fruitcakes. So from then on, anytime I saw him, I always called him Butch slash Jackson. So there you go, I've got that one. And of course, Peter David's passing, another one that I didn't know about, which first thing that jumped in my head when I heard was the pic of him and Dave on the back cover of Cerebus. Yeah, I was always on good terms with Peter David, although I think the low point was when he was in Marvel's promotion department, particularly focusing on the direct market, and they were having press conferences once a month, press conference um, at the Marvel offices, and the Comics Journal would show up, and the Comic Reader, and however many other fanzines there were, and that way they could take care of everybody all at the same time instead of doing the same interviews with 5 or 6 different fanzines. And this was just after Gene Day died, and convened the press conference. And the first thing that Peter David said was, Jim Shooter did not kill Gene Day. And it's like, okay, where angels fear to tread, and I never treaded there, but it's like, who said Jim Shooter killed Gene Day? And if you're talking about, no, he didn't pull out a gun and shoot him, but if you're talking about a way to tear the heart out of somebody who lived and breathed the house that Jack built, well, we could have a discussion about that. If you want to have a discussion about that, I'll be happy to have a discussion about that. But Jim Shooter did not kill Gene Day is not a good opening gambit. So, but I always, I had some good funny stories about Peter David. He had some good funny stories about me. I always enjoyed his company. He's always a very intelligent guy, and I helped get him work. I forget where I got him work, an animation place somewhere, I think, after he had either had a heart attack or a stroke, and found out that there's just something about ill health in the comic book industry that puts you on everybody's do not contact list. All of a sudden, all of his contacts dried up because nobody wanted to talk to the guy who had had a stroke. So I did find him some work. It wasn't great work, but it just happened to cross my path. No, I'm not interested in doing this, but I can give you Peter David's phone number, and he's a very well-known, very popular writer. I forget what, I was at a convention somewhere where Peter David won an award for writing, and what his comedic line as he was getting up to the stage, and the applause was dying off, he turned around and looked at everybody and went, "I voted for Dave Sim." So that was always a gold star that I kept in my notebook. The guy that won the Best Writer Award voted for me, and was nice enough to say something about it.